Now, Pavarotti was a good friend.
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavarotti, and I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. Now, as a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions. I'm not here to slander anyone. Let's get started. Now, in today's episode, we have to do something that's very, very important. Because as I read my comments on my last video, one of the gentlemen who's commented on the videos for a long time, he brought up a very good point. He said the real questions to answer in this case is the 8-hour time delay and the DNA. Now, I think I've already answered that DNA question many, many times, but there are a lot of other content creators out there that are working on that as well. And last night, I watched a video from a content creator who brought up something that I have been searching for high and low under every dang rock for a long time. And it was the article regarding BF and what she had seen the night of the atrocity. Now, if you go way back in my video history, I couldn't even tell you where it is. There's one video where I discussed the BF angle of what she had seen that night and applied it to what happened in the atrocity. I did it in a little bit different way, though, that I'm going to do today, because Swamp Rose found that article. I don't know how she found it. I think she said she found it on a UK site that hadn't scrubbed it. So good work there, Swamp Rose. And there's a lot of great content creators out there that, they work real hard, and I think they deserve recognition. And, Swamp Rose is one of them. Of course, Bubbly Waters, she never stops. She's great. I have ones that have supported me for a long time. Tell It to Ellie does great videos, and I think she's working hard on that DNA right now, as well as haven't seen her around in a long time, but Open Mind Perspectives. Now, she gets into some really dark and deep rabbit holes, and I think it's a wonderful thing for her to do that. She was the very first one to ever promote one of my videos as well, so I've always appreciated her. But there's a lot of great content creators out there. I don't want to not mention anybody. And of course, Harsh is still my favorite. Harsh, you the man. I even like JB Gunner, even though he seems to refer to me as Ravioli instead of Pavarotti, but he'll always be famous for the Kohberger's Pimpin' video that he did. When I'm talking about Kohberger being at the pool. Of course, we still watch Unfiltered Lucky. Jules of True Crimes Reactions does a good job. Truth and Transparency. I'm trying to list everybody I can think of. They're all great. Even A.R. Hayes. I like A.R. Hayes. I thought we were friends there for a while. Here lately, he seems to have, for some reason, decided that he was against my content. But I pray for A.R. Hayes and his health and his family, and I think he's a good dude. And watch his content, whether he disagrees with me or not. That's it's up to him. But there's all kinds of great content creators out there doing a wonderful job, and I hope I didn't forget anybody. If I did, I'm very, very sorry in that. But back to what I was saying. When Swamp Rose found that article last night, that is something that I have been searching for because it tells the story. Everybody wants to know about the exculpatory evidence Bethany Funk had. What did Bethany see? What did the roommates do? Why was there an 8-hour time delay? What happened after the atrocity? Folks, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you in black and white. I'm about to show you in dang near animation exactly what happened with these roommates. And I'm also going to correlate it to one of the videos I did last week. And it just further strengthens everything I said in that video. So without further ado, let's listen to that brief clip of the video from Swamp Rose. Great job, Swamp Rose. And then we're going to get into the roommates in this thing, and I'll show you what really happened.
Mr. Patanti wrote in the affidavit, during the course of my investigation, it became known to me that she has information material to the charges against Mr. Kohberger. According to police, it was Miss Funk who found the bodies of her housemates, but she is now disputing the request to appear as she now lives in Nevada and not in Idaho. According to the affidavit, she allegedly witnessed a naked man run through the rear sliding door. She lived on the first floor of the home and came face to face with the alleged killer.
Okay, a couple of really key takeaways right there. Number one, Bethany Funk seen a man in his underwear running out the back sliding glass door. Very important to note that. Number two, Bethany Funk found the victims. Also very important to note. With that missing piece of information that I used to have but I couldn't find to dig into, but now that we have that missing piece of information, we'll take it with a grain of salt because of course it's a newspaper ad, but I'm sure it was a quote from the investigator in the case. We're going to take that little piece of information and we're going to apply it to the things we already know happened. And I've put together this scenario now in a way that's much more easy for us to grasp what really took place. Because as you go through the PCA with the roommates perspective, it was not a clearly written thing. It was roommate statement, Brett Payne, Bumblegard. Roommate statement, Brett Payne injecting some Bumblegard. And I just made up Bumblegard. But it wasn't just clear and concise. Roommate saw this, now she thought this. Roommate saw this, now here's what we think. No, I took all that junk out and we just went straight with the roommate's statements and what the roommate said she did. And when you do that and you take the fluff out, it makes everything so much easier to grasp. Follow along on this journey with Pavarotti. Okay, now we're going to start with the floor plan of the King Road house, of course, when it was still in existence. And if you look up here to the right, in the top right, you're going to see the left side view of the house. And I want you to pay attention to some dimensions here, okay? You'll see I've got those red 10-foot digits there. That's denoting how much room there is from the floor to the ceiling in the middle rooms in the house and the top rooms in the house. And I should have went ahead and put that 10 foot because it's all symmetrical. The bottom rooms in the house are 10 foot as well. So the reason I wanted to do that is if you look to where DM's bedroom is, down here on the bottom left, it says second floor. You'll see I've got it marked with an X, and that's DM. You can see the location of her bed. And then I want you to look over to the third floor, and you'll see MM, and that's Maddie's room, and the red X on the location of her bed. Okay, so if you were to superimpose the third floor over the top of the second floor, then you will see that Maddie's bed and Dylan's bed are exactly in the exact same position, just 10 feet from each other. So her bed was Maddie's bed's 10 feet directly above Dylan's bed down to the inch, it looks like. So we're gonna go through this a little bit different in this one, but I wanted you to be aware of those dimensions. Now, as we look right here, you're gonna see this is flipped around and we got the right side view of the home. And you can see on the first floor down there, you got BF's bed. And then as you go up to the second floor, you'll see there's DM's bed. And then 10 feet directly above her bed is Maddie's bed. Now, it's important for you to understand what's separating DM's bed and Maddie's bed. Okay, you'll see over there to the left, that is an example of floor joist from the 1970s. Okay, and you'll see those are open floor joists, but those are 2x8 stacked 16 inches from each other because they're usually on 16s. And there's absolutely nothing else separating the top and bottom floor but those 2x8s and the floor decking that's above them. The only thing you'll have above that is probably some carpet pad and carpet. And then on the bottom, you're obviously going to have a 1/4-inch sheetrock. And my point to that is neither one of those are very good sound reducers. So chances are anything above an elevated noise, DM with the bed being directly above her, she's going to hear everything above an elevated noise. And if you look at the wall separating DM's bedroom and the living room, you can see below there, I've showed you what the inside of an inside wall looks like. It's simply 2x4s with sheetrock screwed to them on both sides. So no insulation whatsoever. You can hear very well. So basically down there on the first floor, you got BF's bed. You've got a similar situation with those ceiling joists. And then you have just that 2x4 wall, inside wall with a couple of pieces of sheetrock. So anything that's a little bit loud, you can bet BF is going to hear as well on the third floor. Now, as we go through this, we're going to start here on the second floor, and you can see right there, there's DM's bedroom. And this whole thing's going to start with the combination of Mortenson's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from Funk and Mortenson's phone, leads investigators to believe the unalivings occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25. And that statement in the PCA tells us everything we need to know. They're verifying the times of the atrocity based on text messages or some type of messages from DM to BF and back. So that means DM started texting BF at 4 a.m. and then their text stopped at 4:25. You can be assured of that. Now, as we go, this is again the side view. So these two are texting each other from 4 to 4:25. And you can see we've got all the other things that I just discussed in play. Now we're going to start here with DM and her statement. See, Mortenson stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. And we've already established where that is. Mortenson stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. So she's awoken at 4 a.m. She thinks Kaylee's up there playing with her dog, more than likely in Kaylee's room, because that's where they found the dog. And she immediately texts Bethany and says, "Hey, I just got woke up. Kaylee's up there playing with her dog." All right, and that's on a text message law enforcement had seen at 4 a.m. That's where they started their timeline. Then, this is depicting what we just discussed. You got Kaylee in her room on the third floor over there, and that's exactly where her room would be, just one floor up from DM, playing with Murphy, and then DM at 4 a.m. text Bethany. Okay, then we have DM in her next statement. It says, a short time later, Mortenson said she heard who she thought was Gonzalez say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." We can absolutely take that to mean that now Gonzalez is in the room with Maddie and she's waking her up saying there's someone here, because Mortenson can hear it clearly from her room because she's only 10 feet directly below them. Now this is sometime after 4 a.m. Now Dylan texts Bethany and says, "Hey, I just heard Kaylee say that there's someone here." Bethany tells Dylan, "We'll go check." So Mortenson stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. See, this is the first time that Dylan looks out the bedroom door. Next, we see Mortenson stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. Mortenson then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Now, the second time that Mortensen opens the door here is because she heard crying coming from Kernodle's room, and she hears an unidentified male voice probably talking to another assailant saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." That's the second time. She opens the door because she heard crying. Now, what does she do? She goes back in and she texts Bethany. She told Bethany she just heard Xana crying, so she went to check, and when she opened the door, she heard an unknown male saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." So what does Bethany tell Dylan? She says, "Well, that doesn't sound too good. Go check again," because there's no other reason for Dylan to go open that door the third time other than Bethany texting her to go check again. So Mortensen stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying. Nope, she opened her door the second time after she heard the crying. There's no reason to open the door the third time unless Bethany told her to do it by text. And she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. So that's the third time Dylan opened the door because Bethany told her to by text. The male walked past Mortensen as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door, and Mortensen locked herself in her room after seeing the male. So she witnessed the male clad in black with the mask covering his nose and mouth go out the back patio door. That guy's gone. What does Dylan do? She's frozen up, scared to death. She shuts her door and locks it and goes and jumps under the bed or something. Who knows? But here's what we do know is she didn't text Bethany back after Bethany had told her to go check again. So now Bethany is texting Dylan for probably a couple of minutes, and now she's not hearing any response from Dylan. So what does Bethany do? Does she get in a frozen shock phase and just go to sleep? No. Bethany then, after not receiving a text from Dylan, gets out of her room and goes upstairs to check for herself. When she does, what does the statement in the paper say, or in the article say? She came face to face with an assailant that was naked. So she's at the top of the stairs as the second assailant comes out of the bedroom without any clothes on, and she gets face to face with him. What does it also say? She sees the guy with no clothes run out the back patio door. So now she's seen the second assailant leaving several minutes later. Now let's use our brain. What does Bethany do at this point? She goes and checks where that guy was coming from, and she finds Xana and Ethan unalived. She then runs upstairs and finds Kaylee and Maddie unalived, just like the article says. Then she goes downstairs to Dylan, and she gets in there with Dylan and says, "Hey, somebody has unalived all of our roommates." They're freaking out at this point. Now, what do two girls in a house by themselves where all their other roommates have been unalived and they seen people running out the back door do? They haul butt out of there. BF and DM then leave until the next morning. They go to their friend's place and tell them what happened. They're freaking out. We can only assume that. And they leave until the next morning when they return probably at 11 o'clock with their friends, and their friends dial 911. But what can we ascertain from this? Number one, Dylan heard everything because she's 10 feet below. She relayed everything she heard by text to BF. So she's telling BF, "I think somebody's upstairs unaliving Kaylee and Maddie." She witnessed a man clad in black leave via the rear slider, Dylan. Bethany witnessed another man that was naked leaving via the rear slider. Two separate assailants. DM and BF absolutely got out of there without dialing 911, and they returned to the scene with friends that dialed 911. So That means the perpetrator would have had to have left the house according to law enforcement by 4:18 a.m. But then at 4:23 a.m., an unknown individual leaves Linda Lane in what appears to be a Dodge Journey. Now, we know it's not the initial individual because he's not going to leave at that point. So that tells me that one of the assailants left the house and went and got into the Dodge Journey that was already parked there and drove off.
This is the future.
Okay, then at 4:59, a suspicious man reappears on Queen Road awaiting his ride. So when we look at the timeline of events, law enforcement says the perpetrator left King Road house, and I would say the last perpetrator left the King Road house at 4:18 a.m. He could easily have just followed this wooded path shown here by the arrows to stay out of sight and came along this way, and then somewhere along the way changed his clothes into something that didn't have any evidence on it, put everything in his backpack, changed his boots to white tennis shoes, and then you see him appear down here at 4:59 a.m. And here's where he comes out of. Okay, so you can see this is facing those Linda Lane apartments, and you can see the red X represents where that unknown assailant reappeared from at 4:59 a.m., coming right out of the woods right here. Here's a closer look, and you can see the little rock wooded path coming off the hill right there where he could have easily just walked down and right out into the parking lot. Okay, then at 5:01 a.m., a suspicious man, the same one, is picked up on Linda Lane by what appears to be the same Dodge Journey that left out at 4:23. So now we can certainly apply DM, had seen the guy clad in black go out the back sliding door. What did he do? Hopscotched right up there to Linda Lane, hop in that possibly could be a Dodge, hopped in that thing at 423, drove off. Then Bethany went up, seen a naked man going out the back slider. What did he do? Made his way through the wood line all the way back around to Linda Lane until he was dressed again in different clothes with his other clothes in his backpack, and he walked out to that dumpster there at 4:59 waiting for that ride to pick him up. It all correlates perfectly. What did the roommates do? They hopscotched out of there and went to the friend's place, and what happened between then and 11 a.m. the next day, only God and them know. But I'm sure we'll all uncover it before too long. But with that being said, I know y'all are waiting on part 2 and part 3 of my series. Let me just say, those videos are not easy to put together. They're a little bit easier to put together than all the research involved in getting the information, but still, when I present those, I want them to be crisp and concise so that it has the impact it should have. So I'm working on those, and I'll get them to you soon. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe to this channel. Post your comments, your thoughts, post criticisms. And until next time, Pavarotti is out.